Hey everyone, welcome to a Render Spaz video tutorial. What I'm about to show you today is how to create Mograph text within 3D Studio Max in IRAY. That's right, IRAY. We're going to step away from V-Ray for a little bit and get into some of the internal rendering engines within 3ds Max 2014. So what I'm bringing you here is it's just how to create some Mograph text. This is just a still. I mean, you can animate this as well. But what you see on the left is our final result. I've went in through After Effects, and I put in some flares. I've also done some color correction, and just some other extra little effects that I can show you later. So that said, everything that you see here is very simple, but the techniques that I'll show you within Max is pretty cool, just to bring out some nice 3D text you can use for logos and animate some text and make some cool things. But this is just a straightforward tutorial, and just kind of gives you an idea of some kind of Mograph effects that you can make and create within Max. And use IRAY. It's an excellent rendering engine using the GPU, and it's you know, it's come a long way, and it's working out pretty good so far. So that said, I'm going to jump right into the project and show you how it's done. All right, so we're going to type in this text, right? And this, I already kind of went forward and done this, but you can go and type your text in with the text tool. All right, so you go to your splines, and you can pick the front view, say. And you'll see there's a text tool down here, and you'll just click and you'll get Max, usually says Max Text. You change it to what you like. And your sayings down here. And then I select them all, and then I didn't select them all, but I just went over here to the center and centered them so they look like this over here on this side to the left. And so aside from that, the only thing I've changed was the leading. So I made sure, because pretty much at default it's like this, and I want these guys to be closer together, so I made them get a little bit closer so it just looks right. Alright, so what we need to do now is get this extruded, and the way I like going about this is using the bevel profile modifier, and it really gives you good results. And it's, aside from doing the bevel and the extrude, we do the bevel profile. So to create this bevel profile, I use the line tool, and what I'll do is I'll come up to the top section here, and I'll just form a profile that I want my text to look like. All right, so say I did this like a little wavy kind of thing. I could go over to the text. I'll go to bevel profile. And I'll say here, pick profile. So we're going to pick this guy. And now everything gets all funky, right? So that's because our gizmo is the wrong way here. So we gotta change this direction. And I always make sure I have angle snaps on. And what I'll do is I'll just come over and begin to I'll put it to 90 degrees. Okay, I'm just going to turn it so it's 90. And the gizmo, you can't really see it. Let's see if I can find it for you here. It's kind of hidden into the text. Well, we can actually just pull this guy out. So now it kind of just gets stuck in there. But you can see it right here. It's the yellow curve. So you just want to make sure it's in the right proper spot, because it gets changed, and you can see I'm moving it here, and you can see the yellow curve moving, and you'll know when you get it in the right position, because you'll see that the words won't be as all skewed and messed up like it gets there. So that said, we now have a result from our based off our profile here. So if we customize this, we start getting some different results. And actually, you can now in real time play with this curve. Right, this is nothing super new in Max, but it's a really cool discovery how you make some really, really cool text. So if you want this to be a corner, right, we'll get a sharp edge here. And then what I'll do is if I chamfer, actually not chamfer, but if I fillet this, fillet, okay, it starts to round off our corners. So now we get nice rounded corners here. And then we can refine. And we can even round off this section. So you can see the kind of results you get. And I've already prepared myself one that I like, that I want to use. So I'm going to switch over and pick this profile here. And you can see I have, it's kind of cool looking in bevels that come in and then come back out. I thought it looked pretty cool for this tutorial. So what we're going to do is we'll start to create the backdrop that we're going to use so that we can have some kind of environment. So I'm going to go to the right side here. We're just going to, actually no, we're going to go to the top and we're going to create a plane. We'll just drag it out. Change our segments to 1. Okay, we're going to select our plane, position it a bit, and then what we'll do is we'll convert it to an editable poly. We're going to just select these edges here and it will just split. Okay, we'll make a connection there, split the polygons up, and then we'll go to our left view here and we'll start to profile out and drag out these edges to create more so that we can bend and make a backdrop. All right, this will give us a nice soft studio look. All right. Go down to the modifier stack and we're just going to apply a turbosmooth. We'll smooth that up, make it look a little more natural. We don't want it to be blocky. Let's crank up some of our res for the turbo smooth, and we try a bend modifier. Nothing's really functioning well here. Ben's just not doing it. All right, you know what? We don't need it. We'll go without the bend. Sometimes if you try to reapply it, you know what? That's okay. We're not going to use the bend. I was just thinking of bending it, but you know, we'll stay with the we'll stay with just a straight back wall here. We don't need anything too fancy here. All right, so so now that we have our backdrop, we'll place our camera in the scene here. Okay, we're using just a regular camera target. And we'll center this. Right click and on the X at the bottom there, and it will center your camera, or just brings it to the center of the grid. And then let's get a good position here. Right. Select our camera, and we want to make sure. Okay, we want something a little more drastic, something more, a little more punch to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the lens and make it like a 20mm lens, maybe 24, and that way we get a little bit of distortion in the camera lens. Okay, we'll extend the backdrop so we don't see it in the frame. so that covers the frame. Go to shaded mode, and, setting ourselves up with, that looks good. Just to make sure some things are a little bit simpler as we work with this shot here. So I'm just going to angle this a little bit, like down and up, so that the text look big. We want them to look epic. And I'll just move the backdrop facing so that the text is kind of parallel with the backdrop and the camera. Everyone wants to work together here. And then now we have a simple environment that we can use and start lighting the objects up. So I'm going to start off with a skylight, and that will take away and then shut it off as well. Okay, we want to turn it off, and that's going to create or stop our default lighting from happening in IRAY. And I'm using a gradient ramp that I've created and made it a spherical environment. Okay, and that's going to be placed in our environment slot. And now in IRAY, we're just going to go to production mode here real quick. 800 by 600. I'm just going to run a test and just see what we're looking at here. So by default, and when I put the skylight in, it just pretty much takes away our default lighting, and then I added our environment gradient ramp, and that created this kind of soft look that we got here. All right, so that's just a start. So now what we need to do is we need to create some more lighting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just focusing on the lighting right now, and then I'm going to get into the materials later. I just want to get a nice balance going on here. So we're going to use a target light, and we're going to accept the exposure controls. And we'll bring out this target light. We're going to make sure our shadows are turned on. We're going to go over to and make sure that we are on mental ray shadow map. All right, and then we're gonna change the. Well, I guess for now, what we need to do is before I get into color, I want to get. Just want to see what we're looking at here through realistic mode, and that's great because you can see where our lighting is happening here and where our shadows are being placed. And then we need to go down to where the emit light type is here, and we're going to change it to a rectangular emitter here, so that way we get it's like a light bank. All right, and there you go. You can see we get some nice highlights and light hitting up from the left side there. When we hit render, you can see we get a nice shadow, and it looks starting to look very natural. And that's what we're kind of looking for here. All right, we're going to move this ground. We're going to bring it up just a bit so it looks like the text is sitting on the ground. Just hit a render, see what that looks like, and that's looking good. All right. You can see the nice light hitting the sides. You can see the bevel coming out. It just looks really good and starting to look very natural and real. All right, so I'm going to change the color of the. We're just going to go to the Kelvin here. We're going to change this up a bit. I don't really like using full white lights. You always want to change them a little bit. Just give it a little color here. So we're going to go with a little bit of a warmer feel on the left side of the text. All right, so we're just going to kind of find a happy medium between white and a little bit of the oranger color. And then we're going to copy over the light again on the other side. And this time we can position this for the back side, and we're going to go with a bluish color. Always looks really nice. Just change the backdrop to like just a standard gray right now, nothing fancy. Just want to see what our colors are looking like right now. And then just playing with the Kelvin a bit. We want a nice kind of blue, and you can see we get the orange coming in, the blue. Let's render a test. And starting to get there. But you can see we have double shadows here, and I really don't want double shadows. Double shadows is kind of, there's a lot going on. So what we're going to do is we'll reposition this light. Okay, we'll get it hitting more of the back side of the text. All right, so it highlights that underneath section. And then I'm going to, we also got it hitting the backdrop there, so you don't want that. So what we got to do is we got to move this back slightly. All right, let's make sure it's not hitting. Let's render that again, and then there we go. So that's nice and soft. We still get a little bit of shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shadow off. We don't want too much of it. We just don't want double shadows. We want one source giving us the shadows, the other one just kind of emitting light. All right, so you can see we get the nice warm feeling, and then you get that nice cooler feeling on the other side. It just kind of looks pretty cool, dramatic. All right. Let's let this render out a bit more here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to apply a material now. Let's start getting some color involved. I'm going to use the copper preset in the arc and design material here. And then we're just going to kind of play with the glossiness. Let's dull this up a bit. And I'm going to go with a more or less a bronzy, kind of orangish color. So that's our standard there. It looks pretty good. That's what we're looking for. Something that gives us some nice sheen and highlights. All right, this could be anything, any kind of texture you want. You can even make these text all look like grass, or you can do a lot of things with this. But I'm just going to go with a nice kind of satin look. And let's see, properties, can move around a little bit of the Fresnel here for the reflections, or you can just leave it on the standard. I'm going to go with the standard, and I'll maybe customize it a bit. Get the curve going down a bit there and see what we have. Okay, so it's a little bit sharper on the fall off. Let's bring the glossiness just a bit up. See what that looks like. I want a little bit shinier. That's a little bit too shiny for my liking. So maybe let's drag down the reflection glossiness. Maybe about 0.2, 0.02, 0.02. Yeah, that works. That looks really nice. It's got nice highlights to it. It's very calming, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. So now what we want to do is we could stick with one full color of material, or one material color for all of the for the text, or we can break it up a bit. And how we can do that is we need to separate the text, and we also got to create another material. So I'm going to go like with a blue, orange and blue, seem pretty good. We'll change the reflection color a bit as well. Then what we'll need to do is we'll need to make an editable poly modifier. We can select the text that we want. We should be able to apply this here. We'll call it the blue. Okay, everything turned blue. We don't want that. I'm going to take the... Let's try this again. Okay, that's not working. All right, so let's just go down here, and we'll detach these guys for the time being. So if I grab the detach that guy, let's move the blue on, and there we go. So that's working. That's all we need to do. Grab let's make that blue as well. So the middle's blue, and the sky and the limit will be the copper or orangey coppery color, and then the blue is in the middle. So it's just something like that, just something to break it up a little bit. You know, you could do whatever you want with this. It's just kind of a quick and easy style that I'm just going with here. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. This is good progress, and it's looking very colorful. Some realism in there, and just begs for animation. So I'm going to just create these little spheres just to make it a little more interesting. Nothing really big about spheres, but at the same time, just want to throw them in the scene, add some foreground and background objects a little bit. You know, this way, you start working with depth of field, we'll start to see the blur effects, and everything looks a little bit more spiced up. Alright, so the spheres, maybe we can make them, I don't know, chrome or something. So we'll go down, there's usually a preset there, we can use a chrome, drag them on there, see what we get. Gotta change the background as well, the backdrop. Just need to find like something of matte plastic. That'll work. Make this kind of grayish, very light gray. Then we'll just bring down our glossiness a bit. We'll give it just a little bit of highlight. Stay away from the flat colors there, or the flat materials. So I hit render and see what we got. Alright, so we got these chrome spheres, not looking too well because we're not really using an HDR. And if you were using an HDR, those spheres would look better with the chrome. But because we're not using an HDR, maybe you want to use like a different color. I don't know, like a satin or something to hide away that those sharp reflections that are not really looking too real. So maybe I'll just use the same colors. Go with that, with the colors from the text or the materials. Or better yet, we can use them chrome. We can make them chrome, and then what we could do is we could change the glossiness, and let's make it, wrong one. Make it a satin. So we bring this glossiness down quite a bit, 0.01. You can see here and there. It just kind of feathers it off. You don't have deep reflections. These will work for this kind of environment that we're using. All right, so we'll grab our camera, and we'll start adding some effects to the camera a little bit here. So that's using depth of field, and that will be able to give us some kind of sense of realism a bit, and just really kind of spices up the image. So we're going to go to our multi-pass effect and turn on depth of field in the mental ray option. Okay, we'll grab our camera again here, and we're just looking at our f-stop has to come quite down in order for us to see the blur, because we're looking at a very shallow depth of field. And then so we'll just bring this down until we start to see a blur effect happen here, and we're seeing it a bit here. There you go. The spheres are starting to blur out. Our foreground sphere. So we'll take our target distance, and you can see where the square here is, or the it's like the clipping, the square of the camera, whatever you want to call it there. That is your target distance. So that's what's going to be in focus. So if we bring this sphere a little bit front, closer to the text, but more in front of the T here. Okay. Whoops. Shut that guy. Okay. Come over to the render tab here and just see what we have. You see it's a very soft, and the depth of field is working well, but I just need to get it a little bit more. Make sure there we go. F-stop's about 0.2. I'll give this a render. That's looking better. The text is in full focus, and that's what we want. And our foreground sphere there is blurred out, and then the sphere with the T there, it's in focus as well. And that's looking good. So that should work. Alright, so that should be good. We're just going to move this Y over from the K there. They're a little bit too close for comfort. Alright. And then just we'll move the K a little bit over towards the S. And then we'll give it one more render there just to have a look and go from there. But the next part, I'll just show you guys how I did the post effects in After Effects, and just how I got the flares and everything together and to create the final image. But that's it for the rendering process, guys. And alright guys, for this video I'm just going to show you a quick example of how I've done the post section of this, of the coloring and giving it the extra little bit of kick. So if you're familiar with After Effects, you'll really get this. If you're not, then I'll have some future tutorials on showing you a little bit more in depth of how After Effects works for using it for post-production purposes. But for now, what I've done was I've created a black solid and used a mask to mask it out and give us this nice vignette kind of look. All right, and then in the second layer here, this adjustment layer, which is our optical flares, which I use for video from Video Copilot. I love the plugins from that guy, from Andrew Kramer. Give us a nice look and just gives us this environment feel towards the text. Without it, it kind of looks a little bare. So I just kind of added the flare to give it some fog and give it some highlights. And it just really kind of sets the mood for this kind of shot. And then that's pretty much it. There's not really too much to it. And IRAY did most of the job. Even with just out the flares, I mean, it still doesn't look too bad. But just to give it that extra little kick, bringing in After Effects and giving it these little tweaks here really kind of go the distance. So that's pretty much it. That concludes this video, guys. I hope you learned a lot from what you can do with like a Mograph style text within 3ds Max, and you learned a lot from the IRAY portion of it. Also with using the bevel profile tool, which really is a lot more in depth than having, say, using the bevel or the extrude tools to extrude your text. You can use the bevel profile, create your own more controlled profile curve, and then give you these wicked results that the text, kind of that style, the way they look, and what you can do with it. So other than that, thanks guys for watching, and hope you learned a lot. Stay tuned for more videos from RenderSpaz, and don't forget to check out more at www.renderspaz.com. See you later, guys.